bright learners. Okay, we're all back. It's time for chapters 20, 21, and 22 of How to Eat Fried Worms. Let's go. Chapter 20, Billy's Mother. Billy slumped at the kitchen table on one elbow, pawing at his bowl of Wheaties with a spoon. His mother was washing the breakfast dishes at the sink. But why isn't it good to eat hot dogs for breakfast? I know nobody does, but why don't they? "Oh, Billy," said his mother, "stop it. Finish your cereal." "Well, but—" A knock on the screen door. Billy's mother glanced around. "Oh, hello, Alan and Joe. Is your sister better, Joe?" "Yes, thank you. Billy can't come out until he's finished his breakfast. Would you like to wait for him on the front porch?" "We came to see you, Mrs. Forrester." "Oh, come in." "Mrs. Forrester," said Joe, as Alan shut the door carefully behind him. "I don't know if you know about it already, but see, about a week ago, Alan made this bet with Billy about eating worms. If Billy could eat 15 worms, one each day for 15 days, then— Billy, you're not still eating them." Billy stuffed a spoonful of Wheaties in his mouth. "Not just worms, Mom. I've been eating lots of other stuff too. Look at me. I'm healthy. Dr. McGrath told you the worms wouldn't hurt me." "But Billy, Dr. McGrath didn't think you were going to keep on eating worms." Joe nudged Alan and grinned. "Aw, Mom, if 5 worms wouldn't hurt me, a few more won't either. They're little worms. Besides, it's a bet. They're big worms, Mrs. Forrester," said Joe, looking virtuous. "We won't lie to you. My mother told me never to tell a lie." "Manure," said Billy. "Mom, it's a bet. I told you. If I win, Alan's got to pay me $50. $50, young man, don't you move from that chair." She went off into the front hall. "Thanks," whispered Billy, "but you'll see it won't work." Alan and Joe gazed nonchalantly at the ceiling. Billy's mother's voice came from the front hall. "Dr. McGrath, I'm awfully sorry to bother you again. It's such a ridiculous matter, but since I spoke to you, Billy has continued to eat worms." "No, no, it's nothing like that. He's acting perfectly normal otherwise. It seems he's made a bet with some other boys." Pause. "One every day. He has to eat 15 to win his bet." Pause. "Oh, thank you, Dr. McGrath. I'm sorry to bother you." She returned to the kitchen. "But no more bets after this one, Billy. Alan and Joe, don't you egg him on any more. He's far too eager to do wild things." Billy yucked silently at Joe and Alan. Alan made a rude gesture at him. "Mrs. Forrester," said Joe, "what we really came about is that Alan and me are going up to Lake Lauderdale today with my father to go fishing, and we won't be back till tomorrow night. So we wondered if you'd make sure that Billy eats the worms today and tomorrow." "It's not that we don't trust Billy, Mrs. Forrester." "No," said Billy's mother, smiling. "But it's always better if there's a referee. You know, like Mr. Simmons says at school, to save arguments and hard feelings. We bought the 2 worms." He held up a paper bag. "We boiled them already, so you can just keep them in the refrigerator." "Well," said Billy's mother, "this is quite a responsibility. Are you sure I'll be neutral enough? I am his mother." "Yeah, we thought of that," said Joe, "but we figured, well, you're usually pretty fair. And besides, parents almost never cheat kids if it's just something between kids. They're usually pretty fair until they get into it." Billy's mother laughed. "And how does he eat them? Just cold boiled?" "Well, we've been frying them, Mrs. Forrester. We roll them in cornmeal and then fry them like fish. But he can do whatever he wants, except that Alan and me have decided it's not fair to make soup out of them or chop them all up like hash or a chicken salad sandwich. He's got to eat them piece by piece." "Who said?" said Billy. "When was that ever in the rules?" "We said," Alan. Billy jumped up, kicking his chair over. "Well, then I win, because it's cheating to make up new rules in the middle." "Oh, yeah?" shouted Alan. "Then you lose, because anybody knows it'd be cheating to bash it up. You think you're going to weasel out of it after I've already eaten 9? Who's weaseling? You're cheating." "Yeah, yeah. Boys. Billy, Alan." Silence. "Please. Now, Billy, I think— Nope, let me speak first. I do think Alan and Joe are right. It wouldn't be fair to cut the worms up at all. You can just think of some other way of fixing it. Thank you, Joe." She took the paper bag and looked inside. "Phew!" Billy, are you sure? Mom, you've eaten eels. You ate eel last summer in Long Island. These are just smaller. They're the same thing. Well, she put the paper bag in the refrigerator. I guess if Dr. McGrath says it's all right. Now, why don't you all go outside? I wouldn't go across the street with those finks, said Billy. They can. Yeah, shouted Alan. Well, who'd want to go anywhere with you either? Yeah, shouted Billy. Boys, cried Mrs. Forrester. Stop it. All right. Alan and Joe, you had better go. The screen door banged behind them. Pfft, said Billy scornfully. Joe's face appeared at the screen. Thanks for saying you'll help out, Mrs. Forrester. Chapter 21. The 10th Worm. What's for dinner? Said Billy's father, coming into the kitchen. Well, said Billy's mother, you and Emily and I are having hamburgers and string beans and mashed potatoes. Billy is having a fried worm. More worms. The bet's still on? Look, she took a small plate covered with saran wrap out of the refrigerator. And you've eaten 9 of these already, Billy? He poked the worms curiously. What do you use, a lot of ketchup and mustard? Billy nodded. And horseradish and other things, and we fry them. Billy's father lifted a corner of the saran wrap and smelled the worms. Helen, you ought to be able to do better than fried. Use your cookbooks. I'm not the cook. I'm just the referee. Come on, think of the challenge. He took a cookbook from the shelf under the spice rack. Let's see. I need a book. Mastering the Art of French Cooking. He leafed through the cookbook. Here, how about poached eels on toast? No, said Billy's mother, it calls for chopping up the eels in little pieces, and that would be against the rules. How about spaghetti with worm balls, then, or a savory worm pie? Creamed worms on toast? Spanish worm loaf with mushroom sauce? Wait, said Billy's mother, putting down her cookbook cooking spoon. It might just. She took the cookbook and turned to the index. Here, she read. Alsatian smothered worm. Dredge the worm with seasoned flour. Saute in 3 tablespoons of dripping until browned. Cover with sliced onions. Pour over 1 cup of thick sour cream. Cover pot closely and bake in a slow oven until tender. Bravo, said Billy's father. Put the hamburgers back in the refrigerator. We all have worm tonight. I won't, said Emily. Ha, said Billy, grinning in the midst of chewing. Boy, Alan and Joe thought they were doing me in when they came to you, Mom, but this is better than steak. It tastes good. Yuck, muttered Emily, making a face. Let me have a taste, said Billy's father. No, said his mother. Billy has to eat every bite himself. Alan and Joe were very firm about that, and I'm the referee. Boy, said Billy, I don't mind if it tastes like this. Okay, chapter 22, the 11th worm. How did you do it? Billy said. What is it called? My word, said his father. Gosh, Mrs. Forrester, gasped Tom. On a silver dish in front of Billy lay an ice cream cake, bathed in fruit syrups. Peach, cherry, tutti frutti, candied orange, topped with whipped cream, sprinkled with jelly beans and almond slivers. It's called a whiz-bang worm delight, said Billy's mother proudly. I made it up. Is the worm really in there? Said Billy, poking about it with his spoon. And then, scraping away a bit of whipped cream at one end, he glimpsed the worm's snout protruding from the center of the cake. Snug as a bug in a rug, said his mother. I still wouldn't eat a worm, said Emily, eyeing the whiz-bang worm delight with envious distaste. I would, said Tom. At least maybe I would. We did it. All right. Next time. Chapters 23, 24, 25, and 26, I think. Bright learners, I'll see you soon. Don't forget to read good books. Bye. See ya.